The moment you stop reacting changes the power dynamic. There is a moment that changes everything. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. No one claps for it. But the moment you stop reacting, the entire power dynamic shifts. People are used to your reactions, your explanations, your emotional responses, your effort to be understood. When that suddenly disappears, it creates discomfort. Most people do not notice your presence when you are constantly reacting to others. They notice the noise, not the person. But the moment you go quiet, they start noticing you. Because silence removes their control, reactions give people feedback. Silence gives them uncertainty. Before we go deeper, if content like this resonates with you and you want more psychology-based reflections on emotional strength and self-respect, like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps this message reach the right people. When you stop reacting, people begin to question themselves. They wonder what changed. They replay conversations in their mind. They feel the absence of your emotional energy. This is why silence feels powerful. Not because you are trying to prove something, but because you are no longer feeding the dynamic. Reactions keep cycles alive. Arguments survive on emotional fuel. Drama exists because someone keeps responding. When you step back, the cycle collapses, and that collapse feels threatening to people who relied on your reactions to feel important, validated, or in control. This does not mean you are being cold. It means you are choosing awareness over impulse. You are no longer letting your emotions be used as a handle, and that is when people notice. Not because you became distant, but because you became grounded. The truth is, people get comfortable when they know how to trigger you. Calm removes predictability, and unpredictability shifts power. Not in an aggressive way, but in a self-respecting way. Stopping reactions is not about winning. It is about stepping out of unnecessary emotional battles. And when you do that, people feel it immediately. Why silence feels louder than arguments. Silence has a strange effect on people. It feels heavier than words, more uncomfortable than arguments, and harder to ignore than shouting. When you stop reacting, your silence does something arguments never could. It creates space. And most people do not know how to sit with space. From a psychological perspective, the human brain is wired to seek feedback. Neuroscience shows that our minds constantly look for signals that confirm connection, control, or influence. Arguments provide that signal. Even negative attention reassures the brain that it still matters. Silence removes that reassurance. And when feedback disappears, the brain fills the gap with uncertainty. This is why silence feels loud. It forces people to hear their own thoughts. When you are no longer reacting, they are left alone with themselves, and that can be deeply uncomfortable. Philosophically, silence has always been associated with power. Stoic thinkers believed that emotional restraint was a form of inner freedom. Not because emotions were bad, but because reacting to everything meant giving your inner state away. When you stop reacting, you are not suppressing yourself. You are choosing what deserves access to you. Many people confuse silence with weakness. But in reality, silence often requires more strength and response. It means you are no longer performing emotionally. You are no longer explaining your worth. You are no longer trying to control how you are perceived. Arguments keep relationships stuck in loops, the same points, the same reactions, the same outcomes. Silence breaks the loop. And when a loop breaks, it draws attention. There is also a deeper layer to this. Silence removes distractions. Without noise, intentions become clearer. People notice patterns they ignored before. They feel the weight of what they said, or what they did not say. Silence does not attack, it reflects. This is the inner shift. Silence is not about punishment, it is about presence. You are present with yourself instead of being pulled into emotional chaos, and when you choose that presence, people notice. Not because you demanded attention, but because your calm made space impossible to ignore. People test you when you become calm. When you stop reacting, people often test you, not always consciously. Sometimes it is subtle, a comment, a delay, a small provocation. They want to see if you are still accessible. If the old version of you is still there, psychology calls this a disruption in expectation. The brain predicts how people will respond. When that prediction fails, discomfort appears. Your calm breaks a familiar pattern, and the mind tries to restore it. This is why people push a little harder when you grow quiet. They are not always trying to hurt you. Often, they are trying to understand their place. Calm removes emotional feedback, and without feedback, people feel unsure. From a philosophical view, this is where self-mastery begins. Ancient thinkers believed calm was not the absence of feeling, but control over impulse. You feel everything. You just choose what deserves your energy. The shift happens here. You stop proving your growth. You let it exist. You realize you do not need to pass every test. Calm is not something you explain. It is something you love. Emotional maturity is often misunderstood. Emotional maturity is rarely loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up as restraint, patience, and knowing when not to engage. But many people misunderstand this. They assume calm means indifference, or that silence means you no longer care. Psychology explains this through projection. People often judge your behavior through their own emotional habits. If they express feelings loudly, they expect the same from you. When you do not react, it confuses them. Philosophically, maturity has always been linked to self-regulation. It is not about suppressing emotion. It is about choosing response over impulse. The problem is that mature behavior removes drama. And drama is how many people measure connection, so you can feel threatening or cold to them. Here is the inner shift. You stop trying to be understood by those who only understand reactions. You accept that growth will sometimes look like distance, and that distance is not lost. It is alignment. Losing access to you feels like control to others. When you stop reacting, some people feel like they are losing access to you, not physically, but emotionally. They no longer know how to reach you the way they used to. Psychology shows that people often confuse access with control. When your emotions were easy to trigger, others felt familiar with you. Calm removes that familiarity. It creates boundaries without explanation. To some, this feels like rejection. To others, it feels like a loss of influence. From a philosophical perspective, control has always been tied to expectation. When expectations break, power shifts. Not because you took something away, but because you stopped giving something freely. The inner shift happens when you realize this is not cruelty, it is clarity. You are not responsible for how people react to your growth. Losing access does not mean you became distant. It means you became selective. And selectivity is a form of self-respect. What calm really means internally. Calm does not mean nothing is happening inside you. It often means a lot is happening, just quietly. You still feel emotions. You still notice tension. You simply do not let every feeling become an action. Neuroscience explains this as emotional regulation. The brain learns to pause before reacting. This pause creates space for choice. From the outside, it looks like detachment. On the inside, it feels like balance. Philosophically, calm has always been linked to awareness. Eastern traditions describe it as observing without being pulled in. You are present, but not overwhelmed. The inner shift comes when you stop judging yourself for being quiet. You understand that calm is not numbness. It is containment. You are holding your emotions, not denying them. And that ability is a strength most people never see. The difference between peace and suppression? True peace is not just the absence of conflict. It is an internal state where your mind feels stable, your emotions are acknowledged, and your choices are aligned with your values. Suppression, on the other hand, is hiding or ignoring your feelings to avoid discomfort. People who stop reacting can easily fall into suppression without realizing it. They might seem calm externally, but inside, unresolved emotions linger. Suppression creates tension, frustration, and self-doubt over time. Peace allows you to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. It means accepting discomfort when necessary and expressing yourself mindfully. When you understand this difference, you protect your emotional health. You learn that silence and composure are not signs of weakness, but true balance comes from feeling and responding thoughtfully. Calm should restore energy, not bury it. Why not everyone deserves a reaction? Not every comment, action, or provocation requires a response. People often react out of habit, fear, or the need to be seen. but constant reactions give others control over your emotions. When you stop reacting impulsively, you regain agency over your inner world. This does not mean ignoring issues that matter. It means choosing carefully where to invest your energy. Some people seek drama, testing boundaries to see if they can provoke a response. Others project their own insecurities onto you. Responding to every trigger reinforces patterns that drain you. By selectively choosing when to engage, you conserve emotional energy and avoid unnecessary stress. Learning this is part of emotional maturity. It teaches you that your attention and reactions are valuable resources and not every situation merits spending them. Your calm becomes your quiet power, and people notice even without you saying a word. How detachment protects your energy. Detachment is not indifference. It is a conscious choice. When you stop reacting impulsively, you create a buffer between yourself and external chaos. This allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of emotionally. Detachment protects your energy from being drained by unnecessary conflicts, manipulations, or expectations. It helps you maintain focus on what truly matters while preserving mental clarity. People around you may initially feel frustrated or confused because your calmness exposes their emotional habits. Over time, this distance fosters respect, boundaries, and healthier interactions. Practicing detachment does not mean isolating yourself. It means prioritizing your energy and responding intentionally. It transforms your interactions, making you less reactive, more aware, and emotionally resilient. Your energy becomes yours to manage rather than being scattered by everyone else's demands. A quiet confidence that makes people uncomfortable. When you stop reacting, your calm creates a quiet confidence that others notice immediately. This confidence does not need to be loud or boastful. It shows in your measured responses, steady demeanor, and the way you carry yourself. People who are used to controlling situations or eliciting emotional reactions may feel unsettled because your calmness removes their leverage. Your self-possession communicates that you value your inner peace over external validation. This quiet strength encourages others to reflect on their own behavior, often making them uncomfortable because they can no longer provoke or manipulate you easily. Over time, this form of confidence builds trust in yourself and respect from others. You become someone who navigates life without unnecessary emotional turmoil. The more you embody this calm, the more your interactions become deliberate, meaningful, and free from reactive chaos. When you stop reacting, you start seeing clearly. Stopping your immediate reactions creates mental clarity that is hard to achieve in constant emotional turbulence. When you no longer respond to every trigger, you gain perspective on people, situations, and your own feelings. Patterns that were once invisible become obvious. You start noticing motives, habits, and subtle dynamics that were previously hidden by emotional noise. This clarity allows you to make decisions with intention rather than impulse. You see which relationships are reciprocal and which ones drain you. You understand the difference between genuine concern and performative drama. By observing without reacting, you develop insight into human behavior and you become less susceptible to manipulation. This clear vision strengthens your judgment, nurtures emotional intelligence, and gives you control over your life without relying on confrontation or constant explanations. Clarity comes naturally when calm becomes your default state. Choosing self-respect over emotional chaos. When you stop reacting, you make space to prioritize your self-respect over temporary emotional chaos. Constantly responding to provocation or drama drains your energy and chips away at your sense of self. Choosing silence or measured responses is not avoidance. It is a conscious act of protecting your boundaries. This choice teaches others how to treat you and reinforces your internal standard for what is acceptable. You no longer sacrifice your peace to satisfy someone else's need for conflict. Over time, this strengthens your emotional resilience and reduces stress, anxiety, and frustration. You become someone who navigates life with dignity, making decisions that honor your well-being first. By prioritizing self-respect, you attract healthier relationships and environments. Remember, your calm is not weakness, it is your power. If you found value in this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more insights on psychology, emotional intelligence,